Hello everyone, I'm Sultan. In this video, I will cover basics of SQL, data, database, types of databases, relational database management system, that is RDBMS, download and install Microsoft SQL Server and Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio, that is SSMS, then create a database and restore the database. So let's start with what is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. It is also known as SQL. Originally, it was developed at IBM in 1970s. SQL is a database programming language. Through the SQL commands, SQL allows to interact with database. SQL codes look like this. SQL also allows the management of the database and its objects through the SQL commands. There are 5 types of SQL commands. Data Definition Language, DDL. This kind of commands helps to create and manage database objects like table and users. Data Manipulation Language, DML. Through the DML command, user can insert the new data, manipulate existing data, and can remove the existing data. Through DCL command, administrator can grant database access or special privileges on the database. Transactional Control Language, TCL commands are utilized to manage transaction and control the execution of commands. For instance, when single or multiple SQL commands are submitted and one of them fail, then what should be the next action? It should stop or keep continue. This can be controlled through the TCL commands. The final and the last type of command is Data Query Language, that is DQL. This command is widely used for data analysis and query the data. This is the basic of SQL. Now let's move on to the next one. What is data? Data is a piece of information or detail that can be anything. For example, a data can be someone's personal detail, a product information, or someone's travel information. In modern days, a data can be an image or a video file too. Database. It is a collection of information stored in a digital format with ease of access and management. There are 2 types of databases. Relational database, also known as structured or SQL database, and another one is non-relational database, also known as non-structured or NoSQL database. In relational database, data is stored in a table format using columns and rows. Tables have relationships with each other using primary key and foreign key, or 2 columns having the same data types. SQL commands are used to access the data and management of the database. Relational databases are used to store transactional data, for example, in banking, retail, and wholesale sectors. Popular relational databases are Microsoft SQL, Oracle, IBM DB2, MySQL, and PostgreSQL. In non-relational database, data is not stored in a table format. Data is stored using key-value pair, document-based graph, nodes, or wide columns. Tables do not have relationship with each other. To access the database, non-relational database use their own query language. They don't use SQL. Non-relational databases are widely used in web applications and in tracking systems. Popular non-relational databases are MongoDB, Cassandra, and Amazon DynamoDB. Relational Database Management System. An RDBMS is a software that enables access and management of the databases. I will be using Microsoft SQL as an RDBMS software or an RDBMS server. RDBMS allows insert, retrieve, update, and deletion of the data. RDBMS allows other applications to access the databases. RDBMS also provides a different level of security. User cannot access RDBMS or SQL Server directly. We need another software. To access RDBMS or SQL Server, we required one more software, that is SQL Server Management Studio. User write command on SSMS and send it to SQL Server. Once the SQL Server processes it successfully, then result come back to SSMS, and from SSMS user can access the result. Now let me show you how to download and install the Microsoft SQL Server and SQL Server Management Studio. To download SQL Server, go to Google and search for download SQL Server. From the result, select SQL Server downloads and make sure the link is from the Microsoft. Let's click on SQL Server download. The current and the latest SQL version is 2022. On the left side of the screen, it is SQL Server on Azure. It is a cloud-based edition. And on the right side of the screen, it is SQL Server on premises. It is Enterprise Edition. And these editions are not free. We are after the free editions. Let's scroll down. There are two free editions available. One is Developer Edition and another one is Express Edition. Developer Edition comes with a full feature as Enterprise Edition, but there is a restriction. You cannot use Developer Edition for production environment. It can be only used for development or testing purposes. On the other hand, Express Edition comes with limited features. It can be used for production environment, but there is a limitation in data file size. Data file size cannot be more than 10 gigs. I will go with Developer Edition. Let's click on download now. You can see the setup file is downloaded. You can go from here. Let's run the file. Right click and run as administrator. I will go with the basic feature. Click on basic. This is license terms. Click on accept. Leave the default setting as it is. Click on install. It might take a while to install. Setup has successfully downloaded and installed the latest SQL Server, that is 2022. Its instance name is MS SQL Server. We also need another software to access the SQL Server, and that is SQL Server Management Studio. If you don't see install SSMS button on your setup, you can Google it out, download and install it from Microsoft. I will click on install SSMS. It has opened Microsoft website. Let's scroll down. Click on download SQL Server Management Studio SSMS. It is downloading the setup file now. It has successfully downloaded the setup file. Let's go to the download folder. Let's run SSMS setup file. Leave the default setting as it is. Click on install. The SSMS setup is completed successfully. Click on close. This is our main setup page. Let's close this page. Click on yes. Let's start SQL Server Management Studio first time and connect to SQL Server. Let's search for SSMS. Type SSMS. Select SQL Server Management Studio. It might take a while as we are starting it first time. SSMS is started. On the top left, you can see it says Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Now this window connect to server, asking us that which server you want to connect. Now let me go through the login tab. The first one is the server type is database engine. It is nothing but a SQL server. Click on the down arrow. As we have installed Developer Edition, it has installed all the SQL stack or feature here. We have to work with database engine, that is SQL Server. Let's select it. Now the next option is server name. What is server name? Server name is where your SQL server is installed. In our case, it is my computer name, which is Sultan-IT. Now the third option is authentication. The default one is Windows authentication. It is widely used, and another popular option is SQL Server authentication. I will go ahead with Windows authentication. When Windows authentication is selected, it will by default select the current Windows user. Now let's come to the last option here, which is connection security. Let me untick trust server certificate. When you try to connect to the first time, it might be not selected by default. And when you try to connect, you might end up getting this error. So all you need to do is click on OK and select trust server certificate. Click on connect. If you have any issue connecting to SQL Server, the first thing to make sure is SQL Server service is up and running. You can check it either from Windows Services or from SQL Server Configuration Manager. Let me show you in Windows Services. Here it is SQL Server and the service status is running, so that's all good. Now let's check it from SQL Configuration Manager. Okay, in the first node, SQL Server Services, on the right side, you can see the service is up and running. So that's all good. If you have any issue regarding the SQL Server, this is the place to come and check. Now it has successfully connected to my SQL Server, which is Sultan-IT, and it has used the Windows username admin. We can connect a multiple SQL Server in Object Explorer. On the top left, you can go to connect and you can select database engine, or you can directly click on this icon, connect Object Explorer, and you can put another your SQL Server and you can connect here. If you want to disconnect, you can select the server from the list here. We have only one server right now, so we select the server and we can select on disconnect. It has disconnected now, so let's reconnect it. Click on connect again here. Let's expand database node. Click onto it. Currently there is no database here. Let me show you how to create a new database. Right click on databases and say new database, and here you can give your database a name. Let's say my first database, and then you leave these just by default, and this will be your file paths. So whenever any database is created, there are always two files. One primary file is for data file itself, and another one is the log file. Both files are important. If you want to change the path of files, you can go here, and let's say I want to change the path. I will go here, I will go to E drive, then I will go to SQL data and v1 select, and I will say I will as a data file name, and we'll do the same thing for the log file. Select v1. Now we have to enter the data file name. Let's say the same as our database name, which is my first database. Then the log file, always suffix by log, and then leave these default setting as it is and click on OK. So now you can see your first database is created. Now let's go and check the database files. The first one is the database file and another one is the log file here. Let's expand the database. Let's go to the tables node. Currently we don't have any tables here. Now I have my previous database, that is AdventureWorks 19. Now I will restore it so I don't have to create tables again and import the data. So I will show you how to restore the database. Right click on databases node and select restore database and go to device and click on the button with the three dots on the right side. From backup media, make sure file is selected. Click on add, go to backup, and this is my backup file, adventureworks19.bak, and click on OK. Click on OK. It has also by default selected the database name, which is AdventureWorks19. Now let's go to the files. Now it says initially this file was stored in this folder, and it is going to restore and save as here. If you don't have the same path, so we have to change restore as. Click on this button here with the three dots. I will select that folder here. So enter the file name here. I will enter same as database name. Click on OK. Now you can see the path is changed. So it is saying that it will restore from original to the new path. Let's change for the log file as well. Click on OK. Click on OK now. Now you can see the database AdventureWorks 19 restored successfully. Let's click on OK. Now in Object Explorer, you can see there is a new database here, AdventureWorks 19. Let's expand AdventureWorks 19 database. Let's expand tables node. To query any table, right click on table and select option script table as, and then select to new query. So now it has selected the table. To execute the query from the menu here, you can click on execute button. So this is how you can query the data. If you want to write the new query, click on the new query. You can type your query here, select, then click on execute. Your query is executed successfully. You can write the multiple select statement in one query. So let's write next query, select 10 plus 5, and execute query again. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like button, share and subscribe. In the next video, I will cover data analysis, that is querying the data. See you in the next video. Bye.